Well, by the grace of God or whoever's in charge of the internet, I am back. That was a pain in the patootie. I'm going to let a couple folks stream in here. It is relatively early U.S. time. It's 6:15 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to be doing what I call the Sharpie dots. So when I have trouble finding the pilot hole, I can locate it visually. Because when I try to do it by feel, it has issues, especially when I use a brand new drill bit, because there's no blowout on the bottom. That's usually what I feel for when I'm trying to, and that's called bottom feeding, when you try to feed the blade through the bottom of the pilot hole. I will usually, under the table, I'm doing this. I usually have my fingertip, and when I feel that pilot hole, I'll slide the blade up into it. But if you use a sharp drill bit, you don't have that blowout, for lack of a better word, to have that rough texture to feel. So this could be one of those projects where I have quite a bit of trouble finding the pilot holes by feel. So I'm going to put some Sharpie dots down to allow me to look visually, and I'll use a light underneath in order to find them. But all the pilot holes are drilled. Once the chat gets active, I usually have a contest to see who can get the closest, even if you go over with the amount of pilot holes. And inevitably, I usually miss at least 1 to 4. But I've already counted them while I was drilling them. Hello, Stacy Gerlich over on YouTube says, "Good morning, Charles. First time viewer with you, but been subscribed." Thank you very much, Stacy. I appreciate that. And thank you for commenting. You're the first commenter. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, feel free to throw them out there and I will respond to them. Mimi Lord is joining us over on YouTube. The ladies are out early. Good morning, headed into work. Hopefully to get to see you later. Have a good time. I'll do my darndest. I'm just glad to be back. But as soon as we get more people active in the chat, I will do a contest to see who can get the closest to the amount of cuts this is going to have. And even if you go over, the person that gets the closest to the amount of cuts there will be, judged by counting the pilot holes. They will win 5 free patterns from woodenvisions.com. Five free patterns of your choosing. What's up, Brian Gidney? Long time no see. He's watching over on YouTube. For what it's worth, Brian, the chat is usually more active on YouTube, and the video quality, I'm told, is better on YouTube, but it's up to you. But I appreciate you watching. Holy lordy, there's Misty Humes Valestin. Long time no see. Hey, buddy. Right back at you. Y'all just make a wild guess how many cuts is in this. I will show you the pattern shrunk down so you don't have to try to fit it all into one. If I can locate it. There it is. Oh. Appreciate you, Misty and Brian, being here. I haven't talked to either one of y'all in a while. This is the design we're working on. You have to make a wild guess how many pilot holes are in this piece, and if you guess it correctly, you get 5 free scroll saw patterns of your choosing from woodenvisions.com. And this design is available on woodenvisions.com. Stacy says, "Getting ready to go to work. Fire captain in Los Angeles." Well, thank you for what you do. I said the ladies are out. Maybe Stacy isn't a girl. I mean, sorry. So that's often a girl's name, but it also can be a guy's name. So I apologize if I got that wrong. All right. Summers Woodworking is Brian Gidney. He has joined us on YouTube. So there's that. So Brian, Mimi, Stacy, anybody that wants to guess how many pilot holes are going to be in this project or already are in this project, y'all let me know. But right now I'm putting Sharpie dots so I can visually find the pilot holes when I have trouble locating them. Oh, I got to start writing these down. People are flooding all of a sudden. Okay. And it's okay if you go over as long as you're guessing. Mimi Lords. Oh, okay. Where are we at? Dave Gatton says, "What's up, Charles? Scroll on, baby." Well, I appreciate you. Dave, if you want to get in on this, we're guessing the pilot holes now. And thank you, Misty. Okay, the only guess we have so far is Mimi Lord at 750. Even if you don't scroll saw, you might find a use for 5 free patterns. Just saying. Misty says 1,000. Come on, Brian, get any gas, baby. Oh, he did. He says 350. See, a lot of people are going to be upset that I started so early and they didn't get to guess. Stacy said, let me write that whole name down. Stacy Gerlich or Gerlich. Guesses 865. Dave Gatton says 1,457,276. I might have missed some. You might have, but I'm not going to write that down. I hope you understand. It's too early to write that big of a number. But I will keep your guess as a million plus. Lord, if I ever do that, y'all just shoot me in the head. Because that's a death wish. Okay, I'm going to let more folks guess later since it is so early in the morning, so I apologize. If it looks like I'm fixing it, I already have the number written down on the back of this piece of paper that I'm writing them all down on, so nobody will think I'm cheating. But let me go ahead and get started doing the, and if anybody's still here while people are coming in and commenting, if I'm not looking, can y'all let them know to guess on the amount of pilot holes? But again, if you're just joining, when I have trouble, whenever I use a brand new sharp drill bit, you can't really feel much of a texture on the pilot holes when you're underneath trying to feed the blade in. So when that happens, I have to use a Sharpie marker to put a dot over each pilot hole. I'm not going to do the whole piece, just the area I'm starting in. And I do that so that I can use the light up underneath and find the pilot hole quicker. I should have had him on. It's good to see you again, Misty. I'm mainly just going to do the lower ones because I was trying to load the piece through the first pilot hole so I could start the show with it, and I couldn't find the pilot hole, so that was a heck of a start. Nope, I never cheat anybody, but if you listen to the rumors, I'm crooked, I'm cheap, blah blah, bull stank. But I appreciate y'all joining me so early. So far, everybody I've seen is in the U.S. If you are not, that is fine. I know the U.K. is 6 hours ahead of us, or at least 6 hours of Central Time. And don't try to count as I do these Sharpie dots, because I'm not gonna Sharpie them all on this sitting. I'm going to only do some of them in the lower portion. I just put a Sharpie dot where there wasn't a pilot hole. Alright, that's a good start. I don't know what you mean by that, Misty. You said, you know why I've been gone, idiot Dumbledore. Unless you're referring to somebody I can't really hint at it without it being obvious. The person I warned you about? Well, I say obvious. It may not be obvious to everybody. I knew why you were gone from one area, but yeah. I don't really want to answer that, Misty, because because it'll hint whether or not there's more or less or this and that. So if I say you're close, then everybody else is going to gauge their guesses off of that. So as the guesses come in, I'll reveal. And if you win and you're not in the chat, I will contact you. But I don't want to reveal too much when we don't have many people in here, because that's part of the fun of these live streams, is getting to interact, but also throw out that little contest every now and then. The only people not eligible are people that have already bought the pattern and had the opportunity to count it. But I did make small changes in the design when I was tracing it onto the wood. Right now, everybody's seeing the backside. So if you're wondering why you don't see any detail, that would be why. The piece is not going to be this dark. I will be starting with the Native Americans in the piece, mainly their faces. That's why I'm doing these sharp dots, because this is the area that the Native Americans are in. Well, it wasn't really catch-22 thing, just, and I'm not trying to say told you so, but I warned you. No organizational skills, kind of awkward publicly, blah, blah, both stink. Not you, Misty, I know you know that. Who I'm talking about is what I was trying to warn you about. But sometimes we have to go by our own judgment, and I get that. But I'm going to try not to do any gossiping on this live feed. Sometimes I do that, and I need to steer clear of that. Not that you're inciting it, I am. We'll be starting any minute now. Yeah. For those that don't know, on these live streams we have a drinking game, and it doesn't have to be alcohol that you're drinking, but anytime I break a blade or have trouble finding the pilot hole, everybody takes a drink. Yeah, this is the back side. It's just showing me where the pilot holes are. The front side, if I had issues, I could use an X, but the X, whenever I have X's on these, on the front side of these things, just to show me where the brads are if it's double stacked. That way I don't cut that first. But I didn't double stack this because I didn't want it to be heavy and bulky, but I will regret it if a whole bunch of people want to buy the finished piece, wishing I had cut more than one. But these dots are just to help me with a, and this is quicker than drawing X's. If I have trouble finding the pilot hole, I put a light underneath and look for the Sharpie dot. And I know when there's so many pieces of detail so close together, I could just pick any one, but I like to go in the order that I'm picking. So I don't usually go with if it just pops up through a pilot hole, because I want to start with the eyes and the faces of all the Native Americans and the Mount Rushmore dudes. The presidents, that was the official term, is Mount Rushmore dudes. Oh, diddly diddly. We're almost done with this one, then we have one more to do, and then we will jump right into the cutting, by golly. I have a song stuck in my head, but I can't sing it because copyrights. I appreciate you too. What do you mean by do I choose by strength? I'm not sure what you mean, Misty. I would answer you, but I have no idea what you're talking about. By the way, for anybody that may be interested, this is Chief Joseph, Sitting Bull, Geronimo, and Quanah Parker. That's who the Native Americans are. See, I love when people say that. Hurry up and break a blade. I'm thirsty. Well, if you're thirsty, take a drink, by golly. But also, when I have trouble finding the pilot hole, people take a drink, and that's likely to happen on this one because I used a sharp a sharp drill bit, and when there's less blowout on the pilot holes, it's harder to find them by feel. Seems like the older I get, that's an issue too. Maybe I have calluses on my fingertips and can't feel real well. Those roosters are already starting outside. Of course, they started around 4:30 this morning. Almost ready. Sorry if my face was in the camera. I just didn't realize how far I was leaning in. I'm just going to pick one of the Native Americans and start with his face, and boom. I always start with the eyes on a face and then just move around the face. And in this case, there's 8 different faces. I was having withdrawal from doing these live feeds. This is live feed number 37. But we were trying to get, whenever somebody in the house is playing Xbox, it messes with the connection out here in the shop. And it makes the video pixelated and blurry. So we were trying to get a second line for me. And they installed the second line pretty quickly, but they didn't tell me how to hook it up because it wasn't self-explanatory. And a friend of mine and Brian's came out to try to mess with it, Jerry Brown. And he guesstimated, and we both piddled with it and couldn't get it going. But part of the problem is how technical the setup was, and I didn't find out till yesterday that I needed a modem, not a router. That was part of the problem. We were trying to hook it up to a router and not a modem. I didn't know those were 2 different things, but that's just me. Hello, Herb Pepper. Good to be back, Herb. If you want to make a guess on the pilot holes of this, Herb, feel free. The new house is doing all right. The big red truck. I am so lost because I talk a lot about it. Oh, hello, Daniel Carpenter. I'm sorry that I missed you when you came in. Oh, Daniel Carpenter's in the UK. Okay. This as soon as I turn it back over, I'll give you an accurate. I will. I'm sorry. I'm reading comments and trying to think, and I don't multitask well. The cutting areas, I always start with the face regardless of strength of the piece. And just a second, Daniel. As soon as I flip it over, I'll tell you the exact size of this piece. Where are we at? Yeah, guess how many pilot holes? New house is good. Roddy Woodworking, appreciate you being here. Roddy, if you want to guess how many pilot holes are going to be in this piece or already are in this piece, you can win 5 free scroll saw patterns of your choosing from woodenvisions.com. 4 people have already guessed, but a couple new people, Daniel and Roddy, have come in, as well as anybody else I can't remember because that would require using my brain. The piece is 37 inches by 23 7/8 inches, so it's 3 feet 1 inch wide by almost 2 feet tall. And Herb guesses 750. And Roddy and Daniel, if you'll want to guess how many cuts are in here, you can win 5 free scroll saw patterns. I'm getting all kinds of stupid notifications that keep covering the chat, so I can't read. 750 is what Herb guesses. Mimi already guessed 750. Herb, so you may have to pick another number, either 749 or 751. It's up to you, or any number. Are you saying wow at the size of it? Yeah, I tend to cut pretty large. This one had to be cut large to get all the dang detail in. It took me a while to get it drawn on there. I trace it because it's therapeutic for me, and spiral blades will pull paper up even if it's adhered. I almost always inevitably miss a few pilot holes, but we always keep track when there's a contest. If I find one, that gets added, and anybody else that was close. So Roddy and Daniel, if you want to guess how many pilot holes are here, then I'm okay. Roddy says 540. Okay, Herb changed his to 760. Roddy says 540. Roddy Woodworking. I'm writing these down off out of screen. Woodworking says 540. Daniel Carpenter. Yeah, it's a big project. Daniel Carpenter guessed 679. $679. Okay. Okay, are we ready to reveal? I don't think y'all are ready for me to reveal, are you? Just saying. All right, now y'all don't stall. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Come on now. I already know who the winner is. And by the way, if you ever win one of these pilot hole count things, the best way to contact me is Facebook Messenger or by my email address. If you're a YouTuber only and don't have a Facebook, just ask me for my email address. Okay, everybody's ready? Everybody's ready? And our winner is Daniel Carpenter. That's how many cuts are in this. That was a very good guess, Daniel. Everybody else was quite a ways away. Yes, I'm a teaser. Drum roll. 641 is how many pilot holes are in this piece, and the winner is Daniel Carpenter. With 679 was his guess. 540 wasn't too far off, but unfortunately Brian was pretty low and Missy was pretty high. Her, sorry for coughing into the mic. Her guess was pretty high. I'm not saying she's pretty high. So the correct number, barring missed pilot holes, it was 641. So Daniel Carpenter, if you can write to me on Facebook and go to woodenvisions.com, give me either a screen capture or a detailed list of the 5 patterns you want, and I will send them right on over. I appreciate y'all playing, by golly. We always have fun with that. You're welcome. And congratulations, sir. And Missy says she could be high. I hear you. I'm high on life. And I'm burning up, believe it or not. Here in Texas, it's a little humid. And those of y'all dealing with snow are probably saying cry me a river. But I need to actually turn my fan up because I'm kind of warm in here. Pure luck and a guess, and sometimes that's all it takes. By golly. And Summers Woodworking demands a recount. And I don't feel like counting all that again, so just take my word for it. But that being said, I just noticed a pilot hole I missed, but that only moves it up to 642. So I need to. That happens every time. I haven't even gotten started, and I found a pilot hole I missed. Dagnabbit. Good lordy, how did I miss that? I know how I missed that because I'm human, but now I got to figure out where it was that I said I missed. Do y'all remember where I pointed? Right there. I just looked at it. Now I can't find where I missed the pilot hole. Oh, right here. Okay. Let me grab my drill. Dagnabbit. I don't know if we're legal in Texas or not, but I don't partake in the dubage. So we have one pilot hole to drill and see if we can find any more later, but I don't go looking for them afterwards. Right now I use a hand drill, but I'm working on getting a scroller's drill from Seyco.com, Seyco.com, located in Rockwall, Texas. No, I'm not sponsored by him. I just adore him and his company. Not his physical company. Well, I like him, but, not like that. Come on now. His company is Seyco.com, or Seyco. And I have the Seyco as well. This saw happens to be a 22-inch Egner. All right. So let me... Yeah, I hear you. People have told me that might work for me, but I had it ingrained in my brain for so long. It's a drug. Drugs are bad, blah, blah, blah. So I just suffer through it. But one thing y'all need to know about me is that I do take the occasional break to stretch my back and take a swig of Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is a requirement for me, just so y'all know. Everybody drink with me. Whatever you drink is on you. And yes, I'm starting, because once I do, I got to stay in scrolling mode. But maturity is not required to be on these live streams, because I'm not mature unless I need to be. I do answer questions, and I missed another pilot hole. I keep finding pilot holes I missed. Good Lord. I'm glad I'm finding these before I'm getting going, but it's kind of embarrassing now. What did I do with the dang drill? There it is. Wow. So up to 643 now. It hadn't changed the results of the contest, but even then, the original winner still wins. But it could add other people if I miss that many more pilot holes. Now I got to find the spot that I located. I just saw it. Okay, there it is. All right. After that, I need to stop looking, but I don't really go looking. I just happen to see them. Good Lordy. I'm a Toys R Us kid, by golly. I'm sorry for your pain there, Misty. I honestly am. Okay, I'm going to feed the blade up through the table, and then we will start on probably Geronimo's face, or eyes, and then face. And, of course, the little thing under there is moving. I have a Lexan table on top of my scroll saw, so I had a bigger surface to work on, because I cut billboards on the scroll saw. And I can't get this stupid little plate to land in the right spot. And I have to do that in order for it to sit flush. Come on now. I wasn't really anywhere close, was I? And yes, this table's a little heavy, so y'all bear with me. I'm trying to hold it up with one hand while I get the plate secured. Why is that not going in, dagnabbit? By the way, these I try to keep these chats and these live streams family friendly, so if you have any dirty jokes, try to hold back on them. The stupid thing won't go in. It might be debris in the deal. It's very close, though. Come on now. Yeah, that should work. I'm tired of messing with it, by golly. What's up, Hoosier Mike? It's been a while. Only because of me. Finally got my internet going. Daniel Carpenter says stop finding holes. Now, Daniel, you will still get your 5 patterns because you guessed and won. But the only thing that changes if I find a bunch of pilot holes that I didn't drill is that more people will win, but you still won, so you still get your 5 free patterns. But I have a terrible memory after these live streams are over, so all I ask is that you contact me. Daniel says, I've never tried cutting a pattern this way. I've only ever stuck the pattern down to painter's tape. I might try this way so the paper fuzzy doesn't get in the way on thin bits, if that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. And good to see you again, Hoosier Mike, and I'm glad to be back. Manufacturers should make bigger tables for these saws. Well, when I said that to Hegner, I said it politely. He said, why do you need a bigger table? And I said, well, I'm not really the norm, but I cut very large pieces. So I said that was the only thing I would change about the Hegner. But I love the Hegner and I love the Seiko. Seiko has a very large table. It happens to be what my laptop is sitting on right now, but it's not because I don't like it. I've spent so many years using this saw that I'm used to the clamping system and the speed of everything. Yes, I print out the pattern as large as possible, or as large as I want to cut it. Well, I say as large as possible, but on this piece, it's at capacity. It was on a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet of wood, and I only cut about a foot off of it. All right. So yes, I use carbon paper to trace it on the wood. I started doing it because I couldn't get the spiral blades to stop lifting up the paper, and then I just continued doing it no matter what methods came out because it was therapeutic just to listen to music or whatever while I was doing it. All right, let's get started. It only took me 32 minutes, but we did start out with the contest and letting people get in here. By golly. Y'all let me know if the camera fluctuates at any point, because if I get out too far with the camera, it will pulse trying to autofocus. Okay, I'm not having trouble finding the pilot hole. I found it. It just got debris in it. Okay, maybe I didn't find the right pilot hole. Again, this is a family-friendly show, so keep y'all's little snickers aside. We do I will say after midnight Central or American time, it's a little less family-friendly, but it's never pure gutter. Thank you, sir. I will take. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let me adjust the camera as soon as I get this. Some people like me to go in real close. Some people want me to back it up, but when I back it up, the camera will try to autofocus. Let me check the tension before I get going, which I'm glad I did because it was pretty loose. And let me alter and it will fluctuate sometimes, like if my hand's in there and I pull it away, it'll pulsate once, but hopefully y'all can see that. And scrolling in general, by the way, is therapeutic. It can be physically therapeutic for some people, but mentally therapeutic definitely, especially if you got music or whatever playing in your head. But we're going to start with the Native Americans, eyes and faces, and then move on over to the presidents on Mount Rushmore. And I'm starting with Geronimo. Now, I don't have anybody on the panel with me to read the comments and questions, so know that I won't be able to see them until I stop and reach over and look, which is what I'm doing right now. Mr. Chris Nealon, good morning, sir. He says, good morning, Charles. Much obliged, Chris Nealon. You missed the pilot hole contest, but there's that. I'm sorry if I was sounding guttural. I realized the mic was closer to my neck than my mouth. That's funny. I am getting ready to start going. Don't worry. Yeah, Hoosier Mike says he caught Wes last night. Yep, Wes was doing a layered sign for a plywood company, I believe. For Intarsia, it's shaping the pieces. Yes, ma'am, it is. I've never tried Intarsia. All right, I'm gonna get ready to get going. Believe it or not, part of it's a Mojo and psyching myself up to stick with it for a while, because my record, and I don't expect all of y'all to sit here for it, but Misty and Brian and a couple others haven't been here for every live feed. But my record on a live feed is 10.5 hours. I will say on Facebook it cuts off after 8 hours. Not that I expect y'all to sit there that long, but if you're really bored and need some entertainment, by golly. And if anybody out there is a beginner, feel free to ask questions. I mean, you don't have to stay on topic, but as long as they're family friendly, I always repeat the comments and answer them. Uh, but it's okay to be a beginner. Nobody here is going to tease you for a beginner question, because we all start somewhere. All right, I am getting ready to start within 2 minutes. Can everybody see it okay? Or is there any blurriness or whatever the case may be? Guess I'll check here in a second, by golly. Right now I'm using a number 3 flat-ended Flying Dutchman. I may be using number 3 and number 5 in this, but number 3 for all the little detail. And just a reminder for folks, tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. my time, I have a biopsy scheduled, and I only have one good eye, and that biopsy is on the good eye, so I won't be able to see out of my right eye good enough to scroll. But if I think of it and prep something, if I'm not full of my panic attack meds, which knock me on my butt, I will try to do a live stream of me trying to scroll a simple piece with a bad eye, which could be comical, but I can't promise that, because it depends on what kind of morning I have. If I get panic attacks, I got to take my meds, and they'll knock me on my butt. But I will do everything I can to avoid that. And the reason why I'm having a biopsy, for those that don't know, is because my eyes and face are swelling, and it's not fatness. It's just nobody knows why yet. So the biopsy is to test the skin and muscle. The worst swelling is in my left eye. That's why they're doing the biopsy there. But it is my whole face. No pain, no nothing. The only symptom is swelling and a little bit of dryness to my skin. Again, bear with slow responses on comments and questions, because I'm the only one here on the panel, and so I can't do both while I'm scrolling. I did send the link to my brother and the Team Scroll Saw guys, so maybe one of them will pop in at some point. Now, when you're cutting a piece this large, you barely see the piece moving while I'm cutting it, but obviously I have to move it. My hands are on the side of it, on the edges. I don't know if you can see it on the screen or not, because I'm looking at the scroll saw piece. But I lay my fingers on the edge of the piece as well as the table, and it allows me to be a little more stable. So there's one eye done. By golly, we're almost there. No, we're not. No, I never wear a mask when I'm scrolling. I'm just mental, I guess. And I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any other comments before I get to the long one from Daniel. I don't know why I'm awesome, but thank you very much for that. Oh, and I guess Summers Woodworking is saying ouch to the biopsy. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not scared of it. The anxiety usually comes because of long trips. I have to drive an hour and a half. For me, that's a long trip. I have to go to Austin for the biopsy. Daniel Carpenter says, I think I need to upgrade my blade adapter. Mine holds the blade via 2 Allen key screws, and it's a pain to change, I can imagine, when I have a lot of holes to do so, especially if they're small. Can take 10 seconds to do the cut and 30 seconds to do the blade. Yeah, I would definitely recommend a better saw, but that's only if you could afford it. Hoosier Mike says I would wear goggles to prevent any kind of dust from getting in on your eyelid. Well, it'll probably be covered up in gauze, but if it's not, I'm going to buy an eye patch just to be funny, even though I don't usually show up on these things. But as far as eyes in general, I do wear glasses, so. But I know goggles have the border around the outside of it that would protect. But yeah, I'll take precautions. This is all assuming I'm not too drugged up to scroll. So there's one eye done. By golly, it didn't take that long, did it? I start with the eyes, then I go around the eyes, then I move down the face. And I'll probably do that with all the Native Americans. And then we'll just jump around. I usually primarily use number 5 flat-ended spirals from Blind Dutchman, but on details this small, I knew I had to go smaller. And I've already incorporated, by the way, when I do a pilot hole count, I don't count the pilot holes I do for my signature, but I already have that drawn onto the wood down the lower right-hand corner. If you want to see it, I'll show you, by golly. That is my signature right there, all prepped and ready, but that will be the last cut. And if anybody's interested in the technical aspects, I'm wearing a headset mic with a mic that's right by my face. It's not on the cord, and the webcam is a Logitech 925E. It's on a little wooden crane that's hanging from the ceiling because I have a wooden shop, or the floor of the shop is wooden as well, and that vibrates, so that's why I hang it from the ceiling so it doesn't ripple. All right, let's get this second eye going. If you ever see me moving back and forth over an area I've already cut, it's me using the spiral blade as a little mini sander to get a wave off all of the line that I don't want in there. Sometimes I'm more picky than I need to be about getting waves out of lines, but I can't ignore it if I notice it. But since I started so early, I can say I will most likely do a second live feed today. And, you know, I try to do at least one a day. Every now and then we'll get 2 in. And when I do early live feeds like this one, it betters the odds of doing a second one. I wanted to stack cut this, but I knew I would go through more blades and it'd be a heavier piece. So I didn't. So I will regret it if a bunch of people suddenly want it. But it's probably going to be expensive because it's so big and so much detail in it. But I love me some detail. If I'm picking an average, the average live feed is anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, but I've done an 8-hour one and a 10.5-hour one. Just depends on how wide awake I am and whether or not I have technical issues or things completely out of my control. But when I do these early morning live feeds, I do end up getting tired after a while because my sleep schedule is so twisted. And there's Two Eyes. Mr. Geronimo. Okay, let me catch up. Tommy Mater says, you need some Willie Nelson playing lightly in the background, Blue Eyes crying. I guess someday I could frame it, but I don't know how to build frames. I can't afford the materials, and it takes me too long to build a frame, and I can't afford to buy one. So eventually, maybe. But usually I leave it up to the potential customer to frame it. And thank you for being here, by the way, Mr. Tommy Mater. I don't play music in the background due to copyrights. I don't want to get any of my live feeds pulled down. I think, I don't know how long it is, but I think after a while Facebook pulls down live feeds, but YouTube keeps them forever. So there's that, if anybody's interested. All right, Misty says she'll be back later. Appreciate you dropping in, Misty. Yeah, if I wasn't so into interacting with the people commenting, I would probably have music playing in my ear at least, but I don't like to ignore the people watching. That's why when I'm the only one on the panel, I'll take the time and stop to read the comments and questions because I want people to feel involved. We're going to do the little details around the eyes now. Then we'll move down the face, and when that face is done, we'll move on around to those other colors. There's 8 faces on here, so there's no issues there. I probably could have done this piece smaller if I used smaller than number 3 blades, but I don't, so there's that. Plus, I like cutting big because I'm mental like that. Y'all let me know if you have any trouble seeing as far as pixelation or blurriness, because sometimes it just means I need to move the camera a little closer, but I'm trying to give y'all an idea how big it is and so y'all can see the other detail while I'm cutting on something. I always appreciate feedback because I'm always trying to improve these live feeds if I can. I do scroll slow, but that's because I want to preserve blades, and I'm also trying to stay on the line. But if I go too fast, I break a bunch of blades, and people that take drinks during that love that, but I don't. I'll guess probably the biggest cuts on this piece is each Native American's hair because there's a lot of black in there, obviously. Florence Boland says, I say 1,500, maybe 900. I've already done the contest, but it was 640. I think we're up to 642 now. Started out with 641, but no, it's at 643 actually. So I need to write that down. I'm sorry that you missed the voting, Florence, but yeah, it was 643 is the latest count because I missed 2 pilot holes after I counted. Best time to be in on the contest where you're counting pilot holes on a project that's just starting is if you're here in the beginning of the feed, which I know isn't easy for everybody, but I'm too anxious to get that out of the way. But okay, I need to make sure YouTube has not held my video for review. So y'all bear with me. Usually on live feeds, they waste no time getting it to review. All right, so let's get back on it. Again, I always start with the eyes and then the detail around the eyes, and then we move on down the face, and that will happen with all 8 individuals on here. First will be all the Native Americans, and then we'll move on up to the presidents. Maybe. I mean, I may do all of the Native Americans. See, I've had a habit growing up of calling them Indians, but want to be somewhat politically correct because they are not from India. But anyway, so I'll probably work on these for a while, but especially because of the visual comfort of it being right there by me. And not what I mean by visual comfort is these are near me. If I tried to cut way up here, I'd have a bunch hanging off this big table here. All right. And if you ever think an area is too flexible and could vibrate loose, put your finger right there by the blade. It won't hurt you unless you run it into a blade. But I'm using spiral so the teeth are all the way around it instead of all on the front like a flat blade. But one drawback of doing so much detail on ply is, even if it's a good quality ply, it's not made to have little bitty thin areas up next to each other, so it can pull the veneer off. That happened on my last project, but it hadn't happened yet on this one, but it could. Florence says, glad you are back. I'm glad to be back. She says, talk later. Tommy Mater says, I like those eyes, good Native American eyes. Well, thank you, sir. I love doing Native American thing, that and Western, and animals. It's hard to pick a favorite, but I love Native Americans. And I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day or morning or night, whatever time zone you're in, to be here. Because I know you don't have to be, so I appreciate it. I don't cut thick wood if I have a choice, because you can cut quicker with a thin wood. But a piece like this, ordinarily I would stack cut, but I didn't want to break a bunch of blades and have to cut even slower than I am now. But when you get these large pieces stack cut, they are pretty heavy too. That's why I started the Metallica piece that's 3 feet wide and put that off to the side, because I was too frustrated with breaking blades and having to go so slow. But someday I will get back on that. The song I keep whistling is called Kiss Me All Over from Exile. It's a 80s country song, but it was the last song I heard before I started the live feed. I got it stuck in my head. But I'm mainly just whistling the chorus. I think it's the chorus. I don't know. One time I even had a contest on here to see who could guess what I was whistling, because I like giving stuff away. Most patterns I've ever given away on these live feeds was 5 at a time. That's usually the pilot hole thing, but sometimes I come up with random ideas. Mr. Mike, afternoon. Well, it's afternoon for you. It's 7:10 in the morning here, but I appreciate you being here, sir. I was gone for, I think, 2 days. It felt like an eternity because my internet was down trying to get technical crap figured out. This piece is 37 inches wide by 23 and 7/8 tall, so we'll just call it 3 feet by 2 feet. But between this live feed and the second live feed I'll try to get the Lexan table adhered to my scroll saw table, because I don't know if y'all can see that, but it moves. And I need to avoid that if I want to have this last longer. Now, if you're in the UK, I don't know what time it'll be, but right now it's morning here, so it'll probably be mid-evenings-ish. It all depends on my sleep schedule and everything else going on, but I will do a second live feed regardless. If y'all were having withdrawals, or those of y'all that regularly come to these live feeds, imagine the withdrawal I was having. But it gave me time to draw all these out on the wood, and people didn't have to watch that part. When I had no internet, I just, even with weird sleeping hours, I'd come out here and trace it onto the wood. And I traced another piece onto the wood for a future live stream. It's a group of cowboys riding in front of a barn. Believe it or not, on an old hard drive, I lost the original pattern of those cowboys in front of the barn. All I have is a very large PDF. But also people saying, well, where's that cowboys riding in front of the barn on your website? Reason why it's not there is because it's a pattern I made for myself, because the barn is on the website and the cowboys are on the website, but them together is not. That was just an on-the-fly decision I made for myself, because I'm a detail junkie. Daniel Carpenter says currently 1:20 p.m. here. Alrighty then. Everybody take a drink just for the heck of it. That way I don't feel as guilty for stopping. Is this visually working for everybody? I mean, is there any blurriness or pixelation or autofocus, pulsing, or whatever the case may be? I asked that earlier, nobody answered, so I guess there's no issues. Usually the viewers are good at letting me know, because that kind of stuff's important to me. And just in case it ever becomes a factor for people, if you're watching on the YouTube page, there's a slight delay from YouTube comments to the platform I'm using. I'm using a platform called StreamYard that allows me to stream onto Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Because you might type a comment and it takes me a while, besides the fact that I'm scrolling, to see it and respond to it. Okay, Daniel says all fine on the quality from here. Sweet. Yeah, if it's good on Facebook, then it'll be good on YouTube. Usually Facebook has rougher video. But I will say, for future reference, if you're interested, Daniel, that usually the chat is more active on YouTube chat, and it stays in order, so it's not as confusing to follow. But usually the video quality is a little better on YouTube as well. All right, I'm going to move on down to his nose now. All Already cut that. That was not a pilot hole. All right. And starting an account, you won't be able to comment on YouTube unless you create an account, but it doesn't cost anything to create an account. You just have to have a username and all that crap. I think part of the reason my table is moving is I probably had the table sat on some debris instead of flat on the floor. Oh, well. Herb Hooper says, no, it looks good to me, Charles. Thank you, sir. Lawrence Aldridge is back and says, hello, everyone. Hello, sir. So far, there are 643 cuts in this piece. I thought there was 641, but I missed 2 pilot holes because that's what I do. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook and you hear me reading comments and you can't see them, it's because Facebook can't see YouTube comments and YouTube can't see Facebook comments. That's why I read them out loud. And if anybody is watching on YouTube and is not subscribed, I hope you'll consider subscribing and click on that bell to be notified of when these live streams start. But sometimes I'll schedule them and then change my mind about the time. Like I originally scheduled this one for 7 p.m. my time, but I was ready to start scrolling before then, and I said, oh, never mind, so I changed it to 6:15 my time. Because I was ready to go and didn't want to wait all that time, by golly. Only issue we may have is whenever I get over the left side of this, is it hanging off the table and hitting where I have the laptop, so I may have to alter that somewhat. But we'll go to this one, then this one, and then this one. So when we get over to this one, I might have to move things. Again, if you have any questions or comments, don't hold back. Nobody's going to get on to you if it's a beginner question because we all start somewhere. And your comments and questions don't even have to be on what I'm doing. It can be anything. I'll make conversation because that's what I do best is talk. And that detail popping is one reason I made the shelf paper under here on top of the Lexan be black. That way it would the contrast would be better. Aussie Man Bill has joined us. Hello, Mr. Aussie Man. If y'all ever see me lift the piece up like that and drop it, that's I do that because in case I didn't drill the pilot hole straight up and down, it will somewhat straighten it up a little bit by lifting it up and letting the blade clear the path. And per the usual, y'all bear with me. Nature is calling, and there's some things I can't do in live feeds or in the shop. I'll be right back as soon as humanly possible. I'm sorry about that. I don't like to leave broadcasts, but I never know when nature's going to call. But I think it would be silly to stop every time nature called and start a new live feed. That'd be silly, by golly. Y'all are being quieter than usual. Maybe it's too early. Herb Hooper says waiting on the coffee to kick in, and Bill says, no, it's too late. I'm nearly ready for bed. Then again, Aussie man is in a much different time zone. But even in America, I don't keep a regular sleep schedule. I slept 12 hours. I laid down at 2 p.m. yesterday, woke up at 2 in the morning. Never know when that's going to happen. That's why I don't schedule live feeds ahead of time until I'm awake and know I'm going to be staying awake. Now after this cheek and this right here, I will cut out a lot of his hair and he'll suddenly pop out further. And Hoosier Mike is seconding that on the coffee. I drink Dr. Pepper 24/7. I'm so used to it that it doesn't keep me awake. And a quick reminder, I have the biopsy in the morning, so I will try to do a live feed when I get back. It depends on how I feel and whether or not I have panic attack meds in me. But I do have to go 24 hours before I can uncover that eye. So if I'm in the right mental state, I will do a live feed of me trying to scroll something. Not this, because I don't want to butcher a good detailed piece, but I'll try to do a live feed with me trying to scroll with one bad eye. My good eye will be covered, and I can't see real well. So I don't know how quickly I'll get results from the biopsy. I'm glad to be getting it out of the way. Not real thrilled about having my eyelid cut into, but I can usually take pain if I know it's coming. Plus, they'll deaden it. And for those that it matters to, when I'm not doing live streams on YouTube, I am most active on Facebook. So if you want to connect on there, I go by the Charles Deering on there, and that's all one word. And that's where you can usually get the better updates about what I'm doing and this and that. At least as far as this biopsy goes. But when I do live feeds, I do try to update folks. That's the only time my awkward sleep schedule messes with me, is when I want to do these live streams, where it's friendly for at least the UK and the US. Not that I don't want other people here, but the US, I know, is where a majority of the viewers, the live stream viewers, come to. And then the UK, and that's 6 hours ahead. So I try to do it in a time zone where both people can watch, or both sets of people. Even though this is not about the views and subscribers and this and that, it's more fun for me and more motivating to have 5 or more people watching and participating in the chat. That way it gives me something to focus on and keeps me motivated, by golly. And after this cut, I'm going to stretch my back and take a swig of Dr. Pepper, because the next cut will be the hair, and that's going to be a longer cut. And then I got 5 cuts in the forehead. Everybody drink with me if you got your coffee or whatever it is you're drinking ready. Y'all bear with me. I gotta make sure YouTube hasn't held me for review yet. One of the joys of doing live streams. No, we're still good. All right. I'm not used to y'all being this quiet. But I will live. Kind of not feeling real well all of a sudden, but not in an emergency sense. Just not feeling very well. I hate to say it, but this might be my last cut for this feed because I'm just really not feeling well all of a sudden, and I don't want anything weird to happen on the live stream. But I rest assured, if it's in my control, I will have a another live feed today, or I don't know what time, but I will. But I'm at least going to finish this cut first. Maybe for the next live stream we'll all be more awake and I'll be feeling better. But if I start another live stream, it will mean I'm feeling better. But I don't want anybody to be concerned about me because it's not that kind of not feeling good. It's just not feeling well. This table's moving a lot. So I must have set it on some debris because it's harder to stay on the line when I change direction. I will be saving the waste area around this large cutout because a lot of the hair detail would break off when sanding if I didn't. I just put the piece back into place when I'm sanding and it'll stabilize it. Okay, I'm sorry, folks, but I need to let me catch up on the comments. But not feeling very well. But again, don't be worried about me. It's just one of those things, feeling kind of crappy. Awesome man says, sorry to hear that, Charles. Hope it passes soon. Thank you, sir. Me too. And I will take care of myself. Who's your mic? Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. Hope it all goes smooth and quick for you. I'll let you know. I'm pretty sure it will. Suck on that Dr. Pepper, make you feel better. I appreciate y'all being here. And if y'all know me, this is pretty darn short for one of my live streams. But I will make up for it on the next live stream. Barring something out of my control, I will. It'll probably be a long one, but I appreciate y'all being here. And every little bit helps, and I will be back. You have my word. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. And on Facebook, just follow my profile. We appreciate you. Scroll on.